Graduates, faculty and staff, honored guests, families and friends, welcome. Welcome to the 2025 graduation ceremony of Stanford Graduate School of Business. I'd like to recognize some of the people here today. The GSB faculty and staff have played a pivotal role in the experience of our students. May I invite our faculty and staff to please stand for a moment so we can express our appreciation. We are also joined by families and friends, the people who have offered support, perspective, and throughout it all, love. Let's take a moment to look around at them and cheer for the role they've played in this journey. This special year marks the 100th anniversary of the Stanford Graduate School of Business. It's been a wonderful opportunity to commemorate the school's evolution, the academic experience, faculty research, and the impact of our alumni. Today, you are joining a distinguished group. We have many famous alums, including two joining us as commencement speakers today. But I'd like to share a few stories of early graduates you may not have heard of. The first MBA class of 1927 had just two students, Charles Overfelt and Melvin Sanguinetti. I guess that made choosing study groups pretty easy. Following graduation, Charles opened a prominent general store in California's Central Valley, and Melvin led his family's farming business. Elizabeth Walls Breed, class of 1931, was appointed to lead the newly established GSB library, and later finished her career at the consulting firm Arthur Andersen. Ping K. Leung, Elizabeth's classmate, came to the GSB directly from Hong Kong in 1929. After earning a PhD in economics from USC, he became an economist at the New York Fed, and later launched a second career running a popular restaurant in Maryland. And Ben Eastman, MBA 1935, was an Olympic 400-meter silver medalist who set 6 world records while at Stanford, including one that stood for over 40 years. After leaving Stanford, he developed a nationally recognized fruit orchard in Colorado, where he also served as agriculture commissioner. From the beginning, the GSB has attracted a certain kind of individual, someone drawn to the western frontier of the United States, to California, to the possibility of becoming pioneers, creating new knowledge, new industries, new business models, and setting new records. The GSB has had many pioneers, from shoes to software, private equity to venture capital, public service to private philanthropy. Our students have always come from different backgrounds and life circumstances and forged their unique paths. Their success has been driven by a shared set of core attributes, including incredible work ethic, resilience, leadership, and the ability to navigate change and uncertainty. Think about the uncertainty and adversity our early alumni faced: the Great Depression, the rise of fascism, World War II, the Cold War, the struggle for civil rights. Yet, these were also times of innovation and opportunity. Over the last century, the school has awarded degrees to some 40,000 students, continuously evolving to prepare future leaders for the changing circumstances of the times. Every class of Stanford Graduate School of Business is defined both by a unique set of challenges and opportunities. Let's talk about the class of 2025. In 2022, as the world emerged from the global pandemic, you were already driving change, founding companies, working in government or nonprofits, leading large teams, in some cases, all of the above. And yet, you made a profound decision and took a risk to put your careers on hold, to pursue an MBA, and change the course of your life. That took courage. And let's be honest, maybe a genuine desire to escape Zoom and be around real people again. You came here together in 2023 from around the globe, from 55 countries. You brought experience from government, technology, education, investment management, and more. You came with a commitment to learn from and with each other, to challenge yourselves and step into the zone of discomfort where real growth happens. Indeed, the world had changed post-pandemic, and it has continued to change in profound ways over the past 2 years. You're entering a world with a different set of issues at the forefront than when you started. Artificial intelligence has accelerated, political shifts both at home and abroad have introduced new uncertainty. Fundamental questions we once took for granted are back on the table, with the potential to reshape the global economy. Questions about the role of higher education, of scientific inquiry, even the value of an MBA. How will you navigate these questions? What will you do going forward? Who will you become? I've had the honor of serving as interim dean for the last year, but I've been a finance professor for much longer. And I know many of you thought you'd escape my financial modeling class, but this is my last chance to share a few key concepts from that course. The first lesson from finance is it doesn't matter what brought us here. Value is about what we will do, the decisions we will make going forward. In my class, we develop frameworks and models to make decisions. What's hard about making decisions? Uncertainty. That is why we need to think in terms of what's called a fan of outcomes. A fan of outcomes is a conceptual representation of the range of future possibilities for stock prices, economic growth, inflation, or investment returns. When you build a financial model, you input a set of assumptions. The only thing you know for sure is they're wrong. The future will surprise you, and it's that uncertainty that creates the fan of possible outcomes. In real decisions, there's almost never a right answer. There's only understanding and getting comfortable with the range of possibilities. Life, like in finance, rarely gives you a single forecast. It gives you a distribution, a fan of outcomes. Your job is to navigate that fan, not by predicting the future, but by preparing for it. And while you can't control the outcome, there are ways you can influence it, ways you can navigate the uncertainty. Your confidence should come from the skills you've gained, the frameworks that you've learned, the insights you've gathered from your peers. These will help you react as new information arrives. And that ability to reoptimize, to pivot, is what will amplify the value that you create. Over the last 2 years, you've honed your skills. You've built your foundation. You've learned how to model alternative scenarios. There are many inputs and assumptions you will need to build into the model of your life and career. Some you can't control, the pace of AI, tariffs, political change. Others are entirely yours, your values, your character, your integrity. In other words, the future is yours to model. Our early graduates, like Charles Overfelt and Elizabeth Walls-Breed, may not have used a fan of outcomes to chart their future, but they were the first of many to take what they learned here and lead in an uncertain and rapidly changing world. So what is your class going to do in the future? Who will start companies? Who will be CEOs? Who will own a fruit orchard or a restaurant? Who will be an investor, a philanthropist, or even a prime minister? And you, what will you choose to build? What will your story be? Your fan of outcomes is wide, but each of you has the ability and the responsibility to lead others and to shape a future that reflects not just your ambition, but your values. You may not know exactly where the model will lead, but remember, you're the one building it. It took courage to begin this journey. Let that same courage guide you as you shape what comes next. Just like those first pioneers a century ago, you're stepping into an uncertain world, not with all the answers, but with boldness, purpose, and the courage to lead. So congratulations, GSB class of 2025. We're so proud of all you've accomplished and all you will go on to do. And we're honored and grateful that you will always be part of the GSB community. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our speakers, Akshata Murty and Rishi Sunak. As you will hear more about shortly, Akshata and Rishi, both members of the class of 2006, met right here at the GSB. Throughout their lives and careers, they have been dedicated leaders in the private and public spheres. Akshata has spent over a decade investing in early-stage consumer-focused British companies and currently leads the office of Akshata Murty and Rishi Sunak, which promotes initiatives to drive positive impact in the UK. She is a trustee of her alma mater, Claremont McKenna College, and sits on the board of the Victoria and Albert Museum. Rishi has spent the last decade in the UK government, where he was Chancellor of the Exchequer before becoming the country's 57th Prime Minister. He was the first British Asian Prime Minister and the youngest person to take on the role in 200 years. He is currently a Member of Parliament and serves as the William C. Edwards Distinguished Visiting Fellow at the Hoover Institution. Together, they have journeyed from Stanford to 10 Downing Street and beyond. Please join me in welcoming Akshata Murty and Rishi Sunak.
Okay, Dean DiMarzo, thank you for your very kind words of introduction and for giving us the honor of joining you all today. Now, we've all just rightly applauded the faculty and staff for their brilliant work and your friends and family for their love and support. But last, and by no means least, class of 25, you made it. So congratulations. It's time to give yourselves a massive round of applause.
Now, we remember our own ceremonies so well. It was actually the first time our parents met. So it's wonderful to return in slightly less stressful circumstances. Stanford was transformational for us. I came here from India via Los Angeles, and Rishi from the UK. It opened our eyes to a whole new way of thinking, and it's informed everything we've done since. It also changed the course of our lives, because this is literally where we met, in the Schwab courtyard, to be precise. Now, who needs admissions algorithms when, as our then admissions director, Derek Bolton, who's here with us today, has since told us he could see we were meant to be together before we had even met, just from reading our admissions essays alone. So thank you, Stanford. 20 years and 2 daughters later, forget about being the best business school in the world, you're an even better matchmaking service. And now here we are, so honored to be the first GSB couple to do a commencement speech together. Rishi and I approach things quite differently. So let's just say the process of preparing for today has been just a little bit revealing. I've heard couples therapy can be quite painful, but upon reflection, that might just have been the easier option. But on a more serious note, it's also been incredibly rewarding, because it's allowed us, the both of us, to reflect on who we are and how our experience here at the GSB has played such an important role in shaping our life together.
And our different approaches have meant that we could push each other's thinking to become something better, sharper, deeper. We are each other's force multipliers. And today, we'd like to share 3 lessons that we've learned from our own 2-person tea group, if you will, which we would have found helpful sitting where you are today. Now, the first lesson is what I've learned from Akshata about the false comfort of data alone. Now, I'm a numbers guy, which was in fact a very helpful way of bonding with my father-in-law, Narayana Murthy. Now, he's a pioneer of the Indian software industry, founded the company Infosys, and he lives by the saying, "In God we trust, everyone else must bring data to the table." And I couldn't agree more. That deep respect for data and analysis has given me the edge in every role that I've had since leaving the GSB. So, well done for surviving data and decisions. But that depth of understanding will be relevant for everything else that you do, the full extent of which will be actually impossible for you to comprehend right now. For example, little did I know that sitting in that class, the techniques that I learnt there would help me 15 years later to understand SIR models, R numbers, exponential growth curves, as our government grappled with a once-in-a-century pandemic. In 2021, after months of lockdowns, the new Omicron variant of COVID emerged in South Africa and started to spike in the United Kingdom. I was Chancellor of the Exchequer at the time, and I was actually here on a trip, visiting with CEOs, investors, Stanford faculty. I got a panicked call in the middle of the night, and I had to cut my trip short, jump on a plane, fly back to Westminster, where I found that there was huge pressure for another national lockdown. Now, I probably would have felt the same if it hadn't been for my understanding of data, which meant that I could interrogate what was really happening in South Africa, and that analysis raised questions for me. But, and it's a big but, that's only as far as it could take me. I used to find comfort in the idea that data could always provide a certain answer, black and white, was reassuring to me. But my wife pushed me to think differently. While I'm the quant in our relationship, Akshata is definitely the poet. From our early days together, I try and join her for runs around the loop as an excuse to spend more time with her. And we'd chat as we ran, or more accurately, she would try to run, I would try to chat. But as our relationship deepened, she'd encourage me to understand that without giving up my love of analysis, I also had to tune in and trust my intuition, born of experience and values, however uncomfortable it made me feel. You know, on reflection, I was seriously unfit and had all the wrong kit, so the running was pretty uncomfortable too. But Akshata helped me see that data can't look around corners. It can't make the decision for you. And through her confidence, I grew to trust my own instinct more too. And at that moment, back in December 21, as Omicron came to the UK, it took intuition and not a spreadsheet to argue strongly against the prevailing belief that we needed another national lockdown with all the serious consequences involved. It was a big call, but categorically the right one. And the reality is, as a leader, the only decisions that reach your desk are the difficult 50-50 ones. Because if a decision could be answered with data or analysis alone, someone else would have made it already. And nowhere is that more the case than when you're sitting behind the Prime Minister's desk at 10 Downing Street. So, here's the thing. As you progress in your own careers, learn to listen to your intuition with as much respect and rigor as you do the analysis. Because if you want to lead, it's not a question of data or intuition. You've got to get comfortable with both.
The second lesson is what I've learned from Rishi, and it's about the relationship between big idealistic dreams and small practical steps. I grew up in a country where the gulf between rich and poor was vast. I also grew up in a family where my parents inspired me to bring about widespread change, and I desperately wanted to be in their footsteps. In my Stanford essay, I spoke passionately about education, impact, and service. When I started here, my ideas had crystallized into what I call a form of die-hard idealism, and a quality which I perhaps naively saw then, and I admit now, as somehow morally superior to every other thing. Coming to Stanford, of course, I hope to learn from other idealists with big dreams like mine. What I didn't expect to find, however, was a profound connection with someone whose first question was always how. While we were at the GSB, there was no one more annoying than Rishi when we would go on a run. He would beg to come, and then he would want to talk to me the whole way around the loop. He would wearing these seriously uncool pair of sneakers and three-quarter length cargo shorts. I used to call them weeder shorts, which had pockets everywhere. But there was no one more intriguing than Rishi when he was talking to me about how to affect social change at scale. I genuinely hadn't met anyone my age who spoke like that. Style might not have been his thing, but at least there was some substance. Idealism is inspiring, but he helped me see that if it's untethered from reality, there is no traction. You float without impact. I learned from him that the path to achieving something transformational is rooted in the gravity of tangible steps, in the real world of the everyday. These steps are small, they're detailed, they're unglamorous, but they're also crucial for a vision to bear fruit. When I think back to my time at the GSB, and I think of Jeffrey Pfeffer's class called Paths to Power, actually, Rishi, a class I took as my excuse to spend more time with you, we learned how to get things done. And if you think about it like that, an idealist with nothing to show for it is just an idealist. A practical idealist, however, can achieve the remarkable. Both Rishi and I believe in the power of education to transform lives and to drive social mobility. Both our families are living proof of this idea. But while that's a big dream, the gritty question, of course, is how? What is that tangible next step? In direct answer to that, I founded a program called Lessons at 10 when we were living in Downing Street. It was all about inspiring and educating young people across the UK. And earlier this year, Rishi and I have launched the Richmond Project to give young people confidence with numbers, to improve their numeracy skills, and to build their financial literacy. Examples of big idealistic dreams achieved through those small, practical steps. So what I learned is that actually being practical is a power move. It's not the enemy of idealism, as I once thought, but its running partner. Because if you want to make big dreams a reality, it takes both.
And the third lesson is what we've learned together about the importance of worrying far less about the outcome. It's a concept known in Sanskrit as dharma, the idea that we should gain our fulfillment from simply doing our personal duty rather than from any rewards that may come with our efforts.
Rishi and I started talking about this idea without knowing it right at the very beginning, as we were just getting to know each other, when we would meet up at Arbuckle Cafe for breakfast and ponder what the future might hold for us. That, and whether 11 a.m. was too early for some ice cream for Rishi. Now, it really does turn out that 11 a.m. is not too early. The concept of dharma has been an ongoing conversation and our guiding principle ever since. Successes and failures are part of the package that comes with leadership. And it doesn't matter who you are, in business or in politics. You will feel that on a deeply personal level, not least because the criticism can be noisy, it can be relentless, and it can be distracting.
Now, obviously, you don't walk through the door at number 10 Downing Street without understanding this, but I'm so grateful that Akshata and I shared this commitment to dharma, especially at the hardest moments, because it helped get us through them together. In the summer of 2022, I failed in my bid to become leader of the Conservative Party and Prime Minister. After fighting incredibly hard for what I believed was right, it was a very difficult blow. But the flip side of that disappointment was that I got to spend more time with my family after a grueling few years. It felt good focusing on being a member of Parliament, a husband, a dad. Our girls were thrilled that they got to go to TGI Fridays more often. The dog was thrilled to go on many more walks. And even Akshata was thrilled, I think, to have her running partner back. This time with considerably better gear, I might add. But 6 weeks later, my predecessor resigned. There had been a run on the pound, inflation was at a 40-year high, and the opposition party had a 36-point poll lead, which would require a monumental turnaround even at the best of times. Now, all politicians, if they're being truly honest with you, are a mixture of ambition and duty. A purely ambitious politician would at this point have sat out the impossible situation. That weekend, Akshata and I were in different places and we could only speak in snatched moments on the phone. But she reminded me that my dharma was clear. It was my duty to do the job because I felt that I could help my country at a very difficult situation. And 2 days later, I became Prime Minister. It was a battlefield promotion at a time of crisis, and one that I'll always be proud of.
So here's the lesson. Dharma isn't just relevant in public service. It means that you'll have the resilience and clarity you need to overcome whatever's thrown at you without losing your way or being submerged by ego. It's not only a fulfilling way to live your life, but it will enable you to do much more than you ever thought possible.
So, thank you, class of 25, for listening to our story of data, dreams, and dharma. Now, the potential of your individual stories is immense, but you can't achieve that potential alone. So surround yourselves with people who can and do challenge your thinking. It might be your tea group of 2, it might be your team of 22, it might be the person you're sitting next to right now. Whoever they are, find your force multipliers, people who make you think better, sharper, deeper.
And stay open to what they say. Sometimes it will scare you. Sometimes it might annoy you. But always it will help you become a better person. You will all have forged such strong friendships here. Take care of those relationships, and especially the differences between you, because they might just be the most consequential forces in your life.
And as our own fantastic class of '06 prepare for our 20-year anniversary next year, and as the GSB celebrates its centennial year, a final thought. We were the first Stanford graduates to live in number 10 Downing Street, but both Akshata and I have every hope that we are not the last to live behind an important door at an important time, because the world needs global leaders like the ones being honed right here.
We know you're all going to make Stanford proud, and we'll be applauding you all the way.
So, get out there, change lives, change organizations, change the world.
It is now my great honor and pleasure to introduce the GSB doctoral class of 2025. The Stanford GSB PhD program is small but mighty, with a decades-long tradition of producing scholars of distinction who transform their fields of knowledge. By admitting leading young minds from all over the world, our highly selective program trains them in the craft of scholarship through coursework, research apprenticeships, and intense mentorship. Entering as students and consumers of knowledge, they leave us as producers of knowledge and colleagues. Having become true experts, we are proud to see them set out on a path to create knowledge, train future generations, and change the world for the better. Please join me in celebrating our graduating PhD students as they participate in the medieval ritual of hooding as a way of recognizing their new status as scholars. While in medieval times the doctoral robes were to be worn daily in the library and the classroom, we are fortunate that today we only need to wear them on days like today. After their advisors place the hood of the Stanford Graduate School of Business on them, they will join us on the stage as we welcome them as colleagues into our profession. Diane Lay, Assistant Dean of the PhD program, will now read their names, and their dissertation advisor will hood them.
Bharath Krishnan Shunder. Bharath researches how education, technology, and government policy shape labor market inequality. He examines how the expansion of college enrollment in the 21st century slowed down growth in the college wage gap in the United States. Susan Cherry. Susan's research shows that regulations like interest rate caps can unintentionally push out lenders who use advanced technology to better assess risk. As a result, some borrowers lose access to affordable credit. Ludovico Kripa. Ludovico's research aims to understand the stability and efficiency of multi-agent systems with a focus on algorithmic competition in online marketplaces and ranking mechanisms to aggregate users' preferences. Anna Dagare. Anna studies how social media has reshaped the priorities of political elites in the United States. She shows that greater social media access expands political fundraising and visibility beyond district lines, prompting members of Congress to focus more on partisan national issues and less on local priorities. Billy Ferguson. Billy studies how the design of water property rights and markets creates inefficiencies in water allocation. He proposes mechanisms to modernize water property rights so that arid regions can adapt to climate change efficiently and responsibly. Sebastian Hansen. Sebastian studies how institutional investors affect firms and households. He examines the entry of institutional investors into the market for single-family homes and its impact on affected neighborhoods. He also explores how institutional investors distort stock prices and firm investment decisions. Mitchell Harvey. Mitchell researches the role of politician self-interest in causing radical institutional reform. He studies the decision of Scotland and England to become the United Kingdom in 1707, and he finds that politicians who would personally profit from the union were more likely to support it. Surya Irakomos. Surya researches how firms and employees respond to rankings lists. These agents' behaviors affects the kinds of products available on the market. Kyle Jehoon Jung. Kyle researches executive compensation contracts involving incentives for green performance. He finds that these green incentives do motivate CEOs to reduce carbon emissions, but at a substantial financial cost. Yue Luo. Yue's research focuses on data-driven methods for experimental design. Mariam Malashkia. Mariam studies the global challenge of integrating forcibly displaced populations by studying a unique case with no cultural or political discrimination. Her research provides a foundation for studying refugees in more complex contexts where additional barriers to integrations exist. Hala Musawi. Hala's dissertation examines how governments compete through tax policy and banking regulation and analyzes the impact of this competition on investor behavior and bank lending. Bradley Michael Ross. Bradley researches the impacts of policies intended to improve urban transit and housing affordability. He also developed new statistical methods for doing so. Lydia Wang. Lydia's research examines how digital data affect firms' innovation strategies, such as how firms allocate their innovation resources between incremental and radical innovation. Yifan Yang. Yifan studies the information design of digital platforms. She finds the presence of a consumer review system can paradoxically impair decision-making when information is sparse and noisy, challenging the common belief that more information is always better.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the recipients of the Master of Arts in Business Research. The Master of Arts in Business Research recognizes the accomplishments of those students who have completed the coursework and fulfilled the research requirements of the master's degree, and thus have become domain experts. Please join me in celebrating their accomplishments and attaining this degree.
Peter Banks. Wilson Cyrus Lai.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is my distinct pleasure as director of the Stanford MSX program to present this year's graduates who will receive the degree of Master of Science in Management. The mission of the MSX program is to provide experienced leaders, people who have spent at least 8 years in professional and management roles, the opportunity to prepare themselves for increasingly senior positions in organizations they will lead. MSX students participate in a full-time, year-long course of academic study, giving them an all-too-rare chance for reflection and growth in the midst of an already accomplished career. On behalf of the administration of the program and the faculty who have taught them, join me in wishing each of them great fulfillment and success in the next phase of their careers. In honor of the service of former GSB Dean Robert Joss, who was himself a student in this program, the top 10% of the MSX class, ranked by academic performance, are designated as Robert Joss Scholars. As we read the names of the graduates, we will also announce if they have achieved the distinction of Robert Joss Scholar.
Kemi Christina Abdul, Robert Joss Scholar. Jason Asif Ali. Amar Amir. B. Asavajaru. Juliana Avila Velez. Corey Balgaman. Agata Maria Braha. Venetius Brizala Quintanilla. Robert Joss Scholar. Norma Alexis Brown. Minol Choker. Fong Chen. Chen Chu Wei. Cecilia Chung. Alan Coelho Duarte. Dorota D'Amato. Nisha DeVay. Paul Doe. Yuhan Giada Fong. Priscilla Figueiredo. Antoine Gambarini. George Ivanov Georgiev. Robert Joss Scholar. Doka Gomez. Nicholas Bross Hodgson. Zachary Holt. Junpei Hoshino. Caleb Huber. Patricia Rose Huerta. Utah Inada. Marie Inamasu. Hiro Ishikawa. Shrikar Jendiala. Andra Jatikusumo. Raghu Kimpana. Kasencha Ku. Ostap Korkuna. Robert Joss Scholar. Arnab Kumar. Nick Rashada Lahawiro. James Leo. Stephen Lee. Winnie Wenjing Lee. Jing Lin. Roy Chiankai Lo. Felipe Lorenzo. Tomas Maestra. Robert Joss Scholar. Jocelyn Martinez Morea. Shun Mizushima. Amrutha Nair. Diwas Nupani. Zhao Neves. Diwas Nupani was also a Robert Joss Scholar. Anand Ogawa. Yasu Ogawa. Connie Omerzakova. Michael Paquette. Maria Isabel de Faria Perez. Divyash Raghuvanshi, Robert Joss Scholar. Paul Ringelstein. Tim Scheidler. Dominic Oliver Schweingruber. Danielle Servite. Elaine Yangling Shi. Yongkun Shim. Li Hui So. Richard Song. Tanita Ann Sangpatana Yotin. Jillian Sun. Alex Zolnacki. Tan Jing. XJ Shij Tan. Kuni Togai. Wang Yu. Surgis Watt. Alexander Webb. Xin Yue Zhang. Victoria Changnang Zheng.
Among the Robert L. Joss Scholars, one student's academic achievement places them at the top of the MSX class. This student is awarded the George G.C. Parker Prize, named in honor of GSB faculty and former program director, Professor George Parker. The Parker Prize comes with a significant cash award. You never know what's going to land. The recipient of the George G.C. Parker Prize is Diwas Neil Pani. Distinguished guests, faculty, staff, families, and friends, the MBA students gathered before us today have engaged in a transformational experience. They have acquired solid foundations in general management and have pursued deeper study in their areas of interest. They have engaged in personal growth and built relationships that will last a lifetime. They have helped the school and the community in many ways. They are an impressive group and are ready and worthy to join the ranks of our illustrious alumni. Therefore, it is my great honor and privilege to present to you the Stanford MBA Class of 2025. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Okay. As this, we don't want this to last till 2026. As you leave, I hope your memories of the GSB will remain fresh and that you will stay involved with the school. Our alumni played an important role in your academic experience, ranging from serving as judges in the Executive Challenge to acting as mentors in entrepreneurial courses. It is my wish that you too will engage with the GSB's academic mission as alumni and give your time and experience generously to future classes. You will leave your own legacy and play a part in bringing the GSB experience to future generations as other alumni have done before you. All of you here have undoubtedly heard of R.J. Miller. R.J. served in the U.S. Air Force during the Second World War and was later one of the so-called whiz kids who revolutionized Ford Motor Company. R.J. became president of Ford and then later the much-admired fourth dean of the GSB from 1968 to 1978. In honor of Dean Miller's service, the top 10% of the class, ranked by academic performance, are designated as R.J. Miller Scholars. As we read the name of the graduates, we will also announce if they have achieved the academic distinction of R.J. Miller Scholar. The late Dean Miller also founded the Certificate in Public Management and Social Innovation program at the GSB. The certificate program educates leaders who understand societal issues, design for and evaluate impact, and understand the specificities of the management of social organizations in both the private and public sectors. This year we have 167 recipients. Their names are listed in the commencement program. Graduates' names I have much better material than that. Graduates' names will now be read by Jamie Shine, Assistant Dean of the Career Management Center, Margaret Hayes, Associate Dean of the MBA and MSX programs, and Erin Nixon, Assistant Dean of Admissions. Graduates will receive their diplomas from Dean DeMarzo.
Nicholas Abad. Khalid Abdul Karim. Layla Maria Abukater. Max Adams, R.J. Miller Scholar. Krupa Adusamili. Sabrina Afros. Megha Agarwal. William Christian Agathis. Korath Ahmed Shawkat. Nazirke Aibar. Simone Tess Iseeks. Tereni Ajilore. Maha Al-Fahim, R.J. Miller Scholar. Khalid Ala Ajalan. Jude Al-Rahman Alawa. Abdulaziz Al-Dawood. Nanea Alden.
Faisal Al-Hindi. Mubarak Aleyu. João Pedro Almeida. Noor Al-Sharif. Mia Amin. Ricardo Anaya. Travis Anderson. Andrew Rafi Ansel. Mark Garo Ansel. Sonia Anton. Ruby Pei Au. Yalchin Aydin. Mohammed Azhari. Mo Babakar. Catherine Peyton Bacher. Juan Bautisto Bystrochi. Michael Bacon. Naranjan Balachunder, R.J. Miller Scholar. Alvaro Beliato Varela. Pranay Bali Japali. Alan Houcher Balson, R.J. Miller Scholar. Philip Oren Balson, R.J. Miller Scholar. Aaron Barrett. Itai Barsaid. Savannah Baum. Ryan Bain. Chris Beckman. Pedro Benoit. Helen Berhanu, R.J. Miller Scholar. Malika Bandarai. Anya Bharadwaja. Lauren Bilbo. Rebecca Blaze. Caroline Blank. Jacob Blank, R.J. Miller Scholar. Mira Bodek. Christopher Bradbury. Samuel William Brownsize. Caden Ivy Broussard. Sarah K. Brown. Carolyn Zwang Bruckman. Cyrus Buckman. Holly Berwick. Jesse Kai. Keith Richard Calix. Daniela Camargo Carrillo. Maria Cano. Georgia Carey Carroll. Tom Osel Carroll, R.J. Miller Scholar. Amir Chain Nemtala. Avis Chan. Richa Chaturvedi. Devika Chatwani. Zoe Chazen. Anli Chen. Caroline Chen. Grace Chen. Jenny Chen. Kimberly Tingwei Chen. Sophia Jacqueline Chen. Shishi Chen. Catherine Chang, R.J. Miller Scholar. Mariam Chikovani. Yodi Chu. Henry Choi. Wanjun Choi. Olivia Summerlin Hollins Christensen. Stephen Chu. Will Clark. Eugenio Claro Correa. Josh Cohen. Chloe Stefania Day Conacher. Camila Cordara. Coulter Korish. Rakia Cunningham. Brian Robert Danielson. Owen Davies. Joshua Flanoy Davis. Ryan Andrew Davis. Ian Rafael De Luna. Catherine Elizabeth Deal. Nico De Luna. Batu Demir. Lydia Deneen. Gabriela Diaz. Catherine Holding Didier. Marcos Diel. Amir Donat. Omer Doran, R.J. Miller Scholar. Mira Doshi. Hob Du. Noelle Ann Durkin. Zachary Allen Dice. Ian Storm Edmondson. Anthony L. Raccini, R.J. Miller Scholar. Fatma El Shenawi. Nico Enriquez. Gianna Tyler Erb. Lauren Louise Esrig. Esteban Estevez Yutner. Noelle Eveland. Valerie Ann Fanali, R.J. Miller Scholar. Hamza Farooq. Andreas Fachel. Jessica Fung. Pati Fernandez de Castro Samano. Eliana Fieldmarsham. Sofia Catalina Figueroa Ramirez. Stephen Flynn. Eugenie Fontunya. Paige Frank. Daniel Alexander Friedland. Leaf Frey. Mandy Gao. Jessica Garcia. Santiago Garcia Vargas. Anirudh Garg. Max Garrett. Ishwar Gawande. Ben Gideon. David Scott Gehring. Pablo Golak. Cayo Alexander Gonzalez. Ana Gonzalez Galindo. Carmen Gordon. Tom Gorman. Carlton Gossett. Christopher Paul Gramling. Olivia Greenberg. Sam Greenberg. Katie Goodeman. Julia Guillemot.
Sean Guo. Juliette Marie Hackett. Isabella Haig, R.J. Miller Scholar. Hans Halverson. Richard Minor Hamrick IV, R.J. Miller Scholar. Syed Muhammad Farouk Hamza. Michelle Hahn. Connor Harity. Tess Isabel Hardigan. Elizabeth Madison Harvey. Sonia Maria Hernandez. Rachel Hirsch. Jonathan William Lawrence Hoy. Kristen Hong. Roy Horowitz. Z Huang. Madison Hughes. Lizzie Hunpatton. Winston Wynn, R.J. Miller Scholar. Toshiaki Imamura. Henry Joseph Frankenthaler Eisman. Muhammad Awas Islam, R.J. Miller Scholar. Akshata Jain. Catherine Wright Jessamine Ketchum. Sandhya Jetty. Chloe Jin. Kripanshi Jindal. Imran Singh Johar. Joel Johnson. Barclay Jones. Jacobus Richter Jordan Jr. Catherine Adams Cabot. Akshata Kalmat. Florianne Kameni. Esther Kamgang. Vikram Kanodia. Charles Canoff. Ami Atul Kapadia. Aisha Karnik. Allison Kaslow. Tamara Kawash. Chris Kay. Lawrence Kinney Kemp. Farha Khan. Sakshi Khanna. Cyrus Prashant Karche. Laura Vanessa Keel, R.J. Miller Scholar. Hokuto Kikochi. Brendan Hun Kim. Rachel Kim, R.J. Miller Scholar. Ethan Avram Klein. Kelsey Janae Klein. Annie Clausewitz. Bruno Koba. Peter Koch. Ankita Kodavor. Stephen Jeong Uk Ko. Mackenzie Kasim. Akash Kotak. Tommy Kovanen. Tushar Krishnan. Catherine Lacey, R.J. Miller Scholar. Norma Langdon. Crystal Lau. Gahon Grace Lee. Katrina Lee. Mark Lee. Mia Songmi Lee. Paul Lee. Connor Leon. Mikos Alexander Legrand. Caroline Levy. Quinn Lewis. Chanwei Lin Lee. Yue Lee. Juanyen Lee. Nikki Liang. Adam Lifshitz. Lexi Lynn. Alice Liu. Michael Liu, R.J. Miller Scholar. Andrew Lobel. Henry Liu. Jessica Liu. Alexander Lubkin. Maisie Linton. Lucy Winsue Ma. Mark Ma. Matthew Christopher Mahold, R.J. Miller Scholar. Durango Maina. Venetius Mariana Hojo. Zachary Maslia. Fernando Mata. Keita Matsumoto. Lauren Elizabeth Maymar. Alexander McCarthy. Elizabeth Ann McNally. Ian McRae, R.J. Miller Scholar. Holly Martin McShann. Cameron McWatt. Arnav Mehta, R.J. Miller Scholar. Adam Merrill. Eric Scott Myers. Jordan Alexander Miller. McKenna Miller. Hiroaki Mino. Madison Carlene Minsk, R.J. Miller Scholar. Bryce Walter Mitchell. Mahek Mohan. Suhani Mohan. Manem Moyes. Ana Luisa Montero Lahina, R.J. Miller Scholar. Mason Taylor Montgomery. Cariana Morales. Gerardo Morona. Yoshimi Muneta. Matthew Murphy. Hershey Murthy. Carson Muscat. Kern Nahata. Sasha Nanda. Chase Navalier. Elliot Nell. Kyle Nelson. Ludwig Neumann. Danielle Huinu Wen. Michelle Ann Wen. Andrew Kwesi Nkansa. Joanne Noya Suarez. Arinze Chukwu Nwagbata. Jeremiah William O'Connor. Robert Sullivan O'Reilly. Matthias Oberpower. Gloria Ijama Ademelam. Ewoma Agbaudu. John William Onderdonk, R.J. Miller Scholar. Michael Paretsky. Chanu Park. James Kiute Park. Terry Park. Sravan Pachala. Kayan Patel. Neil Atul Patel. Supapat Patara Situate. Andrew Palmino. Kelly Irene Pedersen. Kira Peltz. Olivia Peniston. Anirudh Shankar Pinathor.
Nathan Petrie. Stephanie Pham. Doug Phipps. Juan Pablo Pietrini Sanchez. Alan Pimstein. Jackson William Palatnik. Megan Prince McKinney. Christina Sophia Puccinelli. RJ Miller Scholar. Vibha Puri. Riley Christopher Quinn. RJ Miller Scholar. Claire Pluchet Rafson. Vasundhara Rakesh. Alex Rakestraw. James Ramsey. Angeline Rao. Pragati Rastogi. Glenn Reddy. Rachel Ree. Anya Ring. Joseph Nabil Robillard. RJ Miller Scholar. Aria Lindsay Collister Rodley. Javi Rodriguez. Abu Bakar Rogers. Katarina Bettina Andrea Rohr. Maria Camila Rojas. Matthew Rojas. Micaela Romero Valdez. Olivia Rosen. Aislinn Roth. Anna Charlotte Rowe. Eduardo Rubini. Rob Rush. Priscilla Rousseau. Shally Sammer. Payam Sanatkar. Sonia Sarda. Philip Shellhaas, R.J. Miller Scholar. Stefano Schiacapase Mikkelsen, R.J. Miller Scholar. Sophia Kiyung Shil Shik. Paul Sedi. Priyanka Segobin. Sean Dunbar Sellers. June Saw. Ishar Seth. Jay Shah. Marai Shah. Shreya Ashish Shah. Evelyn Chow. Akanksha Sharma. Arushi Sharma. Annabelle Shaw. Dina Shira. Michelle Shen. Daniel Magnuson Shepard. Christopher H. Shim. Amit Shimshi. Isla Lee Sean. Jack Shumway. Saman Siddiqui. William Joseph Silk. Ramon Silva. Jackson Simon. Rohan Sinha. Meredith Marjorie Slifkin, R.J. Miller Scholar. Shikar Sood. Preetham Sundarajan. Mark Orell Stark. Adam Cahill Starr. Mara Steu. Eli Stern, R.J. Miller Scholar. John Vincent Stone. Jack Harrison Strauss. Amanda Studebaker. Sushant Sadindranath. Julia Sun, R.J. Miller Scholar. Kailash S. Sundaram. Leah Surratt, R.J. Miller Scholar. Max Sussman. Gabriela Tafur Nader. Lydia Tarawi. Sarah Tang. Elizabeth Barris Teach. Nofel Teljun. Emily Tench. Pat T.T. Sarnsuri. Seon Iodiji Thomas. Claire Elizabeth Howell Thompson. Nicholas Tobin. Marin Nagasi Tominaga. Sydney Ray Tomlinson. Gustavo Tori. Hendrick William Townley. Devon Tremel. Jamie Tim. Shivani Upadhyay. Christian Urrutia. Isabel Vania Garcia. Catherine Van Dyke. Mahek Vara. Dhananjay Varma. R.J. Miller Scholar. Agustin Joseas Villarreal Polens. Jessica Villarreal Reyes. C. Ravisara Wachakorn. Mary Callahan Walker. Tyler Ray Walker. R.J. Miller Scholar. Jacob Adams Waskowitz. Colin Weidman. Melanie Jane Weinston. Henry Patrick Welsh. Christopher David West, Jr. Cortland White. Zoe Carter Wilkinson. Siddiqui Jabari Wiltshire. Joseph Joshua Wise. Walter Wu. Andre Chong. Frank Xu. Yingkai Xu. Hao Shang Mike Young. Tala Youssef. Teresa Yu. Michael Yuan. Dario Omid Zarabian. Alina Zhang. Jade Zhang. Roy Yao Zhang. Max Zhou. William Zhou. Bastian Zwanenberg, R.J. Miller Scholar.
Nominated and chosen by their peers, the recipient of the Ernest C. Arbuckle Award is the second-year MBA student who, by their active participation, initiative, leadership, and personal integrity, is judged as having contributed most to the fulfillment of the goals of the Stanford Graduate School of Business in their actions both within school and society. The recipient receives a cash prize. It never gets old. We are delighted to have Susan Arbuckle, the daughter of Ernie Arbuckle, with us today. This year's recipient of the award is Nofel Teljun.
The Alexander A. Robichek Student Achievement Award in Finance was established to honor Professor Robichek's outstanding contribution to the teaching of finance at the GSB from 1960 until his death in 1978. The award is given to an MBA student selected by the finance faculty for outstanding achievement in their finance courses. We are delighted to have Mark Robichek, the son of Alexander Robichek, with us today. This year's recipient is Isabella Haig. Among the R.J. Miller Scholars, one student's academic achievement places them at the top of the class. This student is designated as the Henry Ford II Scholar and receives a significant cash award. Good stuff. This year's recipient of the award is Ian McCrae.
That's the end of the cash prizes. Honored guests, faculty, staff, families, and friends, we've reached the conclusion of our ceremony. Graduates, please stand. What a journey it has been. Let's have one final round of applause for the GSB class of 2025. Guests, please remain seated until the graduates depart, and everyone, please join us at the Night Management Center for a reception. Graduates, you may recess.